Picture this, you're standing at the edge of your dream, heart pounding, eyes full of fire. But when you turn around, no one's there, no cheers, no helping hands, just you and the echo of your own breath. That's where real strength is born, not when the world applauds you, but when the world ignores you and you rise anyway. Every great hero, every great success story started in silence. They didn't have a crowd behind them. They had courage within them. So if you've ever felt like no one understands you, like no one supports you, like you're fighting your battles alone, good, because you're exactly where greatness begins. Let's dive into 5 powerful truths that will help you get ahead, even when no one's there to lift you up. When the world grows quiet and there's no one left to call, no one left to push you forward, that's when your true power begins to stir. You see, when no one is around to guide you, you've been handed the greatest gift a person can receive, the freedom to experiment. It's the moment where you stop depending on others and start discovering what you're truly made of. Isolation, though it feels like a curse, can become your greatest laboratory if you learn how to use it. When the lights go out and all you hear is your own heartbeat, that's not emptiness, it's opportunity waiting to be shaped by your hands. Use your solitude like a scientist uses a lab. Try things, fail, rebuild, break something apart just to understand how it works, and then put it together stronger than before. Every mistake becomes a formula, every failure a stepping stone, every quiet night a chance to sharpen your mind. Think about the ones who changed history. They didn't begin surrounded by applause or confidence. They started with a question, a dream, and 1,000 voices telling them it couldn't be done. Thomas Edison, for example, wasn't born with a light bulb in his hand. He tested over 1,000 materials before he found one that lit up the world. 1,000 times he faced disappointment. 1,000 times he could have quit, but each failure wasn't a defeat. It was data, a clue, a whisper that said, try again. That's what solitude can do for you. It strips away the noise and forces you to listen to your own thoughts. It gives you space to think, space to create, and space to become something extraordinary without the chatter of the crowd. Most people fear being alone because they mistake silence for emptiness. But silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. When no one's talking, you can finally hear your inner voice, the one that's been drowned out by opinions, doubts, and expectations. That's the voice of your instinct, your genius, your soul. And that's the voice that knows exactly what you need to do next. When you're alone, you're free from comparison. There's no one to impress, no one to outshine. There's just you, raw, honest, and capable of growth that doesn't depend on validation. In that space, you get to decide who you are and who you're going to become. You get to experiment with your ideas, your habits, your dreams, and your identity. Loneliness becomes less of a wall and more of a workshop, a sacred place where transformation happens quietly but powerfully. Think about it. Every superhero, every inventor, every great mind had a moment of solitude before they became who they were meant to be. The writer staring at a blank page, the musician in a silent room, fingers trembling over the first note, the entrepreneur working late at a desk no one else believes in. These are the moments that separate the dreamers from the doers. These are the moments when the world isn't clapping yet, but it will one day because of what you're building now. And yes, it's hard. The nights feel longer when no one's texting. The victories feel smaller when there's no one to see them. But that's the point. You're not doing it for applause. You're doing it for evolution. You're not trying to prove them wrong. You're trying to prove yourself right. Because when you finally make it, you'll know every inch of that success came from your own sweat, your own will, your own relentless pursuit. Loneliness can be cruel, but it can also be the most honest teacher you'll ever have. It teaches you resilience because no one's coming to save you. It teaches you patience because progress takes time. And it teaches you confidence because once you've built something alone, you'll never again doubt your ability to rise. So when you find yourself in those quiet moments where the phone doesn't ring and the world seems indifferent to your fight, don't shrink from it. Step into it. That's your laboratory, your sacred ground, your training field. It's where you learn that the greatest discoveries don't happen in crowds. They happen in solitude, where you can hear your heart telling you to keep going. Your loneliness can either destroy you or develop you. It can either break your spirit or build your backbone. The choice is, and always will be, yours. Because greatness doesn't wait for company. It's born in the silence, created by those brave enough to stand alone and keep moving forward. Here's the secret that separates the ordinary from the unstoppable. They work just as hard when nobody's watching. No crowd, no applause, no spotlight, just the sound of their own determination echoing through the silence. That's when greatness is truly built. In those invisible moments when there's nothing but willpower keeping you moving forward. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not flashy. It's not the kind of thing that trends or gets shared. But it's the bridge between the life you have and the life you want. When no one's texting to check your progress, when your phone stays silent and the world seems too busy to notice what you're building. That's when your character is being forged. Because it's easy to work hard when the world is cheering for you. It's easy to push limits when you have validation. But when the only person who believes in your dream is you, that's when the real test begins. Imagine a hero training in the shadows, day after day, while everyone else sleeps. There's no dramatic soundtrack, no coach shouting motivation. Just the quiet rhythm of effort, the sweat, the repetition, the grind. That's what discipline looks like. It's showing up before dawn when no one expects you to. It's putting in extra hours when no one would blame you for quitting. It's teaching your mind to stand guard when your body wants to rest. The greats, the athletes, the creators, the inventors, the visionaries weren't born unstoppable. They became unstoppable by learning how to fight the temptation of comfort. They built habits that outlasted moods. They knew motivation fades, but discipline endures. Every quiet repetition, every invisible hour, every unseen sacrifice becomes a brick in the foundation of success. You may not see the results at first, but you're building something powerful, something no one can take from you. Think about the athlete who runs laps in the cold before sunrise, long before the stadium lights ever shine on them. Think about the musician practicing until their fingers ache, long before a crowd ever sings their lyrics back. Think about the writer who rewrites a single page 100 times before a reader ever turns it. The world doesn't see the process, it only sees the outcome. But discipline is what transforms unseen effort into undeniable excellence. And here's the truth, there will be days when you feel invisible, when your work feels like it's going nowhere, when you wonder if it's even worth it. That's the moment most people stop. But that's also the moment that separates the dreamers from the doers. Because if you can keep pushing even when it feels like no one cares, that's when you start becoming unstoppable. Every time you resist the urge to quit, you're building strength no one can measure. Every time you choose consistency over comfort, you're shaping a future you can be proud of. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's the art of showing up again and again, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's boring, even when the results aren't showing yet. The body follows where the mind leads, and the disciplined mind doesn't wait for the perfect conditions. It creates them. When you tell yourself, I'll start when I feel ready. You're letting hesitation win. But when you act despite how you feel, you're rewriting your own story. There's a kind of power that only grows in silence, the kind that comes from doing the work no one else sees. You'll notice that as you stay consistent, something changes inside you. You stop needing validation. You stop chasing approval. You begin to trust yourself because you've seen what you can do without anyone watching. You've proven to yourself that your word means something, that you can rely on your own strength. And here's the beautiful part: one day, the same world that overlooked you will ask how you did it. They'll call you lucky. They'll call you gifted. But you'll know the truth. It wasn't luck. It wasn't talent. It was those countless hours when you chose to work instead of rest, to push instead of pause, to keep going instead of giving up. Every hero story begins in silence. Every masterpiece is crafted in the shadows before it's displayed in the light. What you do when no one's watching determines who you become when everyone finally does. So keep building, keep grinding, keep believing, because every unseen effort, every small act of discipline is a promise to your future self that you're not just dreaming about greatness. You're becoming it. You won't always have people to believe in you. Sometimes you'll have to stand in the mirror, look into your own tired eyes, and become your own believer. That's one of life's toughest truths, but also one of its greatest powers. Because when the noise of doubt surrounds you, when others can't see the picture forming in your mind, it's your belief, fragile, flickering, but fierce, that keeps the dream alive. Self-doubt will whisper, it will argue, it will scream that you're not enough. It's loud, relentless, and convincing. But your vision, your reason for starting, has to roar louder. When you first set out on your path, you felt that spark, didn't you? That moment of pure excitement when your heart told you, this is it. This is what I'm meant to do. That feeling wasn't random. It was purpose taking root inside you. But here's the thing about purpose: it gets tested. Life will throw shadows over it. People will doubt you. Plans will fall apart. You'll fail, you'll stumble, and sometimes you'll look around and wonder if it's worth continuing. That's when belief becomes more than an idea. It becomes a lifeline. Think of every person who's changed the world. Their journeys didn't begin with applause, they began with disbelief. Before the world celebrated them, it ignored them. Before they inspired millions, they stood alone with only their conviction. Take J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a cultural force, she was just a struggling writer, scribbling in cafes with a heart full of stories no one else cared to read. 12 publishers rejected her. 12 doors slammed in her face. The world said no 12 times. But her yes to herself was louder. That single, unshakable yes changed everything. That's what belief does. It doesn't need to be big. It just needs to survive. Because when no one believes in your dream, you become the first believer. You become the foundation. You're planting a flag in the ground that says, I see something you don't yet see. That's how pioneers are made. That's how every revolution begins, with one person brave enough to believe before the world catches up. And yes, belief wavers. Even the strongest minds have moments of doubt. The difference is they don't surrender to it. They remind themselves why they started. They revisit that first spark. They close their eyes and remember the version of themselves who had the courage to take the first step. When you're deep in the struggle and you can't see the end of the road, sometimes the only thing you can hold on to is that first reason, the fire that lit your way. Belief isn't about pretending you're never scared or uncertain. It's about standing in your fear and saying, I'm still going. It's the choice to move forward even when your legs tremble. Every great creator, every visionary, Every dreamer had to face that moment. The moment when logic said stop, but the heart whispered, keep going. That whisper, that's belief. When you believe in your mission, something shifts inside you. You stop seeking approval. You stop waiting for someone to give you permission. You realize that your dream isn't up for a vote. You're not here to convince the world. You're here to create something so undeniable that the world has no choice but to notice. That's the quiet confidence that builds empires, that shapes art, that invents tomorrow. And it's not easy. Some days, you'll wake up and feel like an imposter, like you're building castles on clouds. You'll look around and wonder why everyone else seems to have it figured out while you're still struggling. But here's the truth they don't tell you. Everyone who's ever achieved something meaningful has felt the same way. The difference is they didn't let doubt decide their destiny. They kept moving through the uncertainty until belief turned into proof. Your mission doesn't need validation. It needs commitment. The world may not see it yet, but that's not your problem. Visionaries always arrive before the crowd. The artist paints before the gallery opens. The builder sketches before the city rises. The dreamer believes before the applause. That's what sets you apart. You're not waiting for the world to give you faith. You're creating your own. So when doubt creeps in, and it will, don't fight it with fear. Fight it with purpose. Remind yourself of the dream that keeps you awake at night. Remind yourself of the moments that make your soul come alive. Remind yourself that every no from the world only makes your yes stronger. You don't need the world to believe in your vision right now. You just need to keep walking toward it until the world can't ignore it anymore. Because one day, they'll ask how you did it, how you kept going when everything seemed impossible. And you'll smile, knowing the truth, that while the world doubted you, you chose to believe. And that belief, steady, stubborn, and unbreakable, was enough to turn your dream into destiny. When support is missing, motivation must come from movement. It's a truth as old as time, yet so few truly live by it. Everyone waits for that perfect moment, the right inspiration, the ideal conditions, the approval from others before they begin. But life doesn't work that way. The universe doesn't hand you momentum. It's something you create. You don't need a huge start. You just need a small one, a spark, a flicker, a first step, then another, then another. And before you know it, that small step begins to roll, to gather force, to turn into something unstoppable. That's how progress begins, not with a roar, but with a whisper that refuses to die. Most people think they need confidence before they can act. But the secret is the opposite. Action creates confidence. The first step may feel awkward, uncertain, even meaningless. But once you take it, something shifts. You begin to move, and movement is power. Just like a boulder sitting at the top of a hill. It takes a push, just one, to start rolling. Once it moves, gravity does the rest. You are that boulder full of potential energy waiting to become unstoppable force. But you'll never roll forward if you keep waiting for someone else to push you. If you wait for perfect timing, encouragement, or a sign from the universe, you'll wait forever. The perfect moment doesn't exist. It's something you make by starting. Start where you are with what you have. Write one paragraph, make one call, take one walk, save $1. That's it. Don't underestimate the power of small beginnings, because every great journey in history started that way. The tallest tree began as a single seed. The greatest masterpiece began as a single brushstroke. The most legendary heroes began as ordinary people taking one brave step into the unknown. Think about it. How many dreams have died because someone kept waiting? Waiting for courage, waiting for clarity, waiting for approval, waiting for the right tools, the right people, the right plan. They never realized that momentum is born in motion, not in waiting. You can think all day, you can plan for years, but nothing will change until you have moved. You might not have the map figured out, but every step forward will show you the next one. Sometimes the first move feels so small it almost seems pointless. You might feel silly taking baby steps while others seem miles ahead. But remember, the greatest mountains are climbed one step at a time, not in a single leap. One small step taken in faith is worth more than 1,000 steps imagined in fear. Progress doesn't demand perfection. It demands persistence. You don't have to see the top of the mountain to keep climbing. You just have to trust that each step is carrying you higher. There will be days when your effort feels invisible, when the progress seems too slow to matter. You'll question why you're even trying. That's the test every champion faces, the test of invisible momentum. Because even when you can't see the results, something is happening beneath the surface. The energy you invest today builds the strength, the skill, the resilience that will explode into visible success tomorrow. Like a seed buried in soil, growth begins in darkness before it reaches the light. When no one's cheering, when no one notices, when it feels like your effort is lost in the void, that's when momentum matters most. Because once you start moving, the universe starts moving with you. Opportunities appear, ideas connect, and people begin to notice. The world has a way of responding to those who refuse to stand still. Life respects motion. It rewards persistence. Look at any great story of triumph, and you'll find the same truth hiding in plain sight. They began before they were ready. They started without the applause, without the certainty, without the guarantee of success. They took a single, trembling step into the unknown and kept walking. That's how businesses are built, how art is born, how destinies unfold. Not from waiting for perfect timing, but from creating it through consistent motion. And when you start, even if it's clumsy, even if it's uncertain, you light a spark inside yourself that begins to grow. Each small action feeds it, each repetition strengthens it, until that spark becomes a fire that fuels you forward. The first move may feel small, but it's the spark that ignites the blaze. Before long, the fire inside you burns brighter than the doubts around you. So move, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, now. Push through the hesitation, silence the excuses, and take that one step. Because momentum isn't magic, it's movement multiplied. Once you begin, you'll find your rhythm, your strength, your flow. And when you do, nothing, no obstacle, no delay, no doubt can stop you. You'll have built something no one can take away, the unstoppable force of self-made momentum. When people doubt you, when doors slam in your face, when your effort is met with silence or even laughter, that's not the end of your story. That's your launch pad. Every rejection, every failure, every time someone underestimates you, it's all energy waiting to be turned into fuel. The sting you feel when the world says no is not a signal to stop. It's the spark that lights the engines of your next move. Because every no has power in it, but only if you decide to use it. Rejection hurts because it challenges something deep inside us. It tells us we're not enough, that we're not ready, that our dreams are too big or our talent too small. It's easy to let that pain settle in and call it truth, but rejection doesn't define your worth. It reveals your will. It's life's way of asking, how much do you really want this? Because if you want it badly enough, no rejection in the world can stop you. You'll take that pain, you'll hold it close, and you'll turn it into purpose. Every no can either break you or build you. The choice is always yours. Most people crumble under rejection because they mistake it for failure. But failure only happens when you stop trying. Rejection isn't a wall, it's a detour. It's life saying, not this way. Try another. Some of the greatest success stories were born from people who refused to take no for an answer. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper because his editor said he lacked imagination. Imagine that. A man who would go on to create entire worlds, told he had no creativity. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Steven Spielberg was rejected from film school 3 times. 3 times the door slammed on him before he built the dream factory that inspired generations. They all had a choice: believe the rejection or use it as rocket fuel. We all know what they chose. They turned rejection into propulsion. They didn't let the disbelief of others define their destiny, and that's what you have to do. Every time someone doubts you, every time a door closes, you've been given a gift, proof that you're aiming high enough to scare people. If no one's saying no, maybe you're not reaching far enough. Rejection isn't the enemy. It's the evidence that you're in motion, that you're trying, that you're alive in pursuit of something bigger than comfort. It's easy to take rejection personally, to see it as a reflection of who you are. But the truth is, rejection often has nothing to do with you and everything to do with timing, perspective, or fear. People reject what they don't understand. They turn away from what challenges their sense of normal. But your job isn't to convince them. It's to keep building until what they doubted becomes undeniable. You don't need every door to open. You just need one. And you'll only find it by knocking on all the others. When you treat rejection as redirection, it loses its power to hurt you. It becomes a teacher instead of a judge. Every no you face pushes you closer to the right whys. Every obstacle refines you. Every failure strengthens your focus. The road to greatness has always been paved with rejection letters, missed calls, and closed doors. The heroes who make it aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who rise faster each time they do. Think of rejection like gravity. It pulls you down, yes, but you can use that same force to push off and soar higher. Every setback becomes a springboard if you decide to learn from it. You become tougher, wiser, hungrier. You stop being afraid of hearing no because you realize no isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it. The people who reach the top don't have fewer rejections. They just learn to turn those rejections into fuel. So when someone says you can't, don't waste your time arguing. Show them. Let every doubt light a fire inside you. Let every failure remind you that you're still in the fight. Because one day, the same people who rejected you will have to rewrite their opinions in the light of your success. They'll tell the story differently. They'll say they always knew you'd make it. But you'll know the truth. You'll know that every closed door, every harsh word, every silent night built the strength that carried you forward. Rejection is not a signal to stop. It's a challenge to rise. It's a test of your resilience, your patience, and your hunger. The world may not believe in you now, but that's fine. The greatest victories are born from disbelief. The universe doesn't close doors to punish you. It does it to redirect you to the ones you were always meant to open. So keep going. Take every rejection and throw it into your fire. Let it burn bright enough to light your path. Because one day, when the world finally sees what you've built, they'll realize that every no they gave you wasn't your downfall. It was your rocket fuel. Listen, life won't always hand you a cheering section. Sometimes it hands you silence. But in that silence, your story is written. You may be standing alone now, but one day, the world will stand in awe of what you built when no one else was watching. So stand tall. Keep moving. Keep believing. The road may be empty today, but it's leading you straight to your destiny. And when you get there, don't forget to look back and smile because you made it happen all by yourself.